Drink, my babies, drink. Ooh, that water's cold. Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Yep, gave myself another haircut. Back to the crew cut. Seems like it darkened up a little bit after letting it grow out a little bit up on top. Sides are still pretty much gray, but and I got this little white streak going on over here too, so don't know what that's about. Anyways, well, what have I been up to? Since spring has came and went, and now summer is basically at full force, we're seeing like 90-degree temperatures with a decent high humidity, and been getting a lot of the yard work done and straightening a few things out over here. Got the pool running, started it last week. Now it's up and running over the weekend. Uh, Trimming down some bushes, yard work, fun shit, fun shit. But everything's working out pretty good. So I'm going to kind of go over a little bit about keeping a nice yard and keeping it nice and green, and then showing you a few examples of what not to do. Well, first off, you want to give your yard a little bit of a kickstart in the spring. So I kind of recommend getting a drop fertilizer. That way it's kind of a slow release, absorbs into the ground. And this also has a weed control, so it stops the weeds before they start. But sometimes, weeds have a tendency to be a little bit stronger than the fertilizer, and you end up getting a few weeds anyways. But in the spring, just for a kickstart, I kind of recommend using a drop fertilizer. I would rather use Scott's brands of fertilizer rather than a no-name brand or whatever, but this stuff actually works. It's a lot cheaper than the Scott's is, but it does do the job, and I'll show in a little bit. Now, during the summertime, after using that type of fertilizer, I will get the Scott's Turf Builder fertilizer. If I have any weeds, then I'll use the Turf Builder, Turf Builder 2 Plus Weed Control, I think it's called. And that also helps with getting rid of weeds and, unwanted shit in your yard. Now, if you start seeing a lot of brown patches that aren't greening up or changing, then you might have grubs. Grubs is a type of a bug that gets under the ground, the larva basically of another bug, and it'll eat the roots of your grass. So they do make a medicine for grubs. I recommend getting it if you start seeing a bunch of brown patches or just certain areas where there's dead grass. And I'll put that stuff down every year. And that's kind of a little bit more towards a little bit more towards the summertime, the middle of summer. I'll put the grub killer down. I don't have anything. I don't see anything going on in my yard, but it's just a good prevention. Now, the Scott's Turf Builder 2 Plus, that's got the weed control on it. This one is just for lawn food. As you can see, it says on the label. I put this down at least 2 or 3 times a month. Because of the weather getting really, really hot outside and the humidity is starting to get up there a little bit, I'll end up using this stuff at night. So I'll kind of water the grass for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'll go over and spray this shit at night. Works pretty good. If you end up doing it during the day, especially when it's hot outside, you could end up burning your grass a little bit. Also, what I found out it works pretty good too is watering at night, only at night, instead of watering during the day. When you water during the day, you end up having a chance of when you stop watering, the ground will start heating up, the water will start getting hot, and it'll end up hurting the grass a little bit, so you don't want to do that. Also, if you cut the grass, you don't want to spray this before or after cutting. You want to let the grass ends heal. It's kind of like scarring it when they're cutting the tops off of it. So you want to let it heal before spraying this stuff. Otherwise, you can end up burning the tips of the grass and you'll start having like brown tipped grass. And it works pretty good. So I'll kind of like show you a little bit of what the outcome of this stuff is. So bear with me. So as you can see, between my yard and a neighbor's yard, which is basically the same type of grass, they're both Kentucky bluegrass. The sod was put down both at the same time. And you can see how mine is much greener than the neighbor's is. Actually, mine is much greener than all the neighbors. And basically, watering at night, fertilizing, and just keeping the control of how hot the ground is getting, basically, too. You really can't control it too much during the daytime, but at night, watering it really helps it out a lot. You can see like the edge of the grass and everything by the sidewalk isn't really burning too much. It's when the sidewalk starts getting real hot, it heats up the ground next to the grass and has a tendency to burn a little bit. So you want to be careful a little bit about that as well. When you water during the day, the sun basically will evaporate the water right out of the ground. Another thing is kind of a good idea to do. Everybody likes that golf course looking yard, and the problem with that is cutting it so close to the ground is that the dirt will start to get real dry real quick, real hot, and leaving it about 4 inches in length as far as cutting your grass goes will help shade the ground enough to where it keeps some of the moisture into the ground and keeps the ground from getting so hot. You may not think, burning, sitting out in the sun and just frying, that the grass is actually shading the ground very much, but it does. Now I ended up getting a lot of work done over here. As you can see, got some plants out, got the gravel done. Tell you what, my back being the way it is, this was not easy to do. So that's kind of what I've been up to lately since the last time I made a video playing bass or whatever. But let's take a walk into the backyard, see how things are. Well, this is the back, and as you can hear in the background, the pool is running. And you can kind of see the grass is kind of green and not too bad looking. Now the grass back here is a mixture between Kentucky Blue and rye. Rye is not all that great of a grass, but they do. When I throw out seed out here every fall, I'll throw out grass seed, and they always, if you don't pay attention to the bag, you'll sit there and have a mix inside of it, and well, that's what this is. So you can see it's pretty green, not too bad, not as nice as the front yard is though, but again, watering at night helps a lot, and it keeps it looking pretty decent. Now I got the pool going, and that's kind of what I've been up to lately, is just killing myself trying to get the yard work done and the pool up and running and shit like that. And still have to do a little bit of straightening out back here, get rid of a few things. I got the cover for the pool in that bag over there. That hose is garbage. It ended up blowing up on me when I first turned on the pump. There was a weak spot in the hose, but yeah, so pool opened up nicely. Wasn't too many problems with it. It's got a lot of cotton shit floating around the top of it from the cottonwood trees. Now everything is set up pretty good. I got to put the covers back on the deck around here. But let's take a walk to the back over here. Now these are solar panels that I picked up or ordered from Walmart. And surprisingly, these things work pretty damn good. I think I'm going to end up getting a third one. You can order these online from Walmart. They're like 160 bucks a piece. And yesterday I put the thermometer and the ladder on the pool and put it on probably around, like, say 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and around 6 o'clock I looked at the thermometer, and it was started off at 70 degrees in the pool. By 6 o'clock in the afternoon it was 75 degrees. So these are actually doing a little bit of something, and if I get a third one, probably just be that much better. Now when you set this thing up, you want to make sure you get all the air out of the tubes, because of the fact of it doesn't circulate or flow very good. So you can kind of hear the water flowing through, and there, probably if this was one long tube, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 or 15 tubes, about 4 feet long inside of here. If you stretch it out, it'll probably stretch out a good length of the yard if I put both of these together. So it's going to be making some heat. So let's kind of take a walk in the front, or in the front of the pool. Finally got some color back here and did a few things. I still got a lot of work to do back here, cleaning stuff up and straightening things out. Let's see here. Man, it is hot. I gotta tell you, it's about 90 degrees right now. And we're talking about, with the heat index and everything else, it's supposed to feel like 100 today. Get underneath the shade, underneath the gazebo. Got the gazebo set up. I have to take the outdoor speakers that I have set up out here and take those grills off and repaint them again. Those are actually some decent speakers. They're duals, and I can't remember the exact wattage. I think they're at around 45 watts a piece. I'm not pushing 45 watts to them, but they have a decent sound quality on them. There are two ways inside there with a port. Picked up the old man a grill for Father's Day, and then I picked up a nice little fountain for my mother, and set that up for her real nice, and trying to just make things look a little bit more nicer out here. This year will be the last year for my big ass tree over here. That tree I got when I was either 5 or 8 years old from a bank when I opened up my family opened up a savings account when I was a kid, and the bank was giving away, free trees. It was a little sapling, small tree. Well, all these years later, and that's what it came out to be. And it's about almost as twice as tall as the house. And I've got a 2-story home, so you can kind of see it's pretty up there. Now, in Chicago, by donation, they do a thing where people will donate, their tree, like a Christmas tree or whatever, and they'll end up doing a thing where they'll set the tree up in the middle of Chicago as, the year's Christmas tree. Garbage truck is pulling in. There's a dumpster back there for the people at the park and stuff, and every week, garbage truck comes over there and empties out an empty can. But anyways, by donation, people will donate their tree for the Chicago Christmas tree. And this year we're going to end up, we already talked to somebody, and this would be a good candidate, depending on what the other candidates are going to look like. This might be out of here by this winter, before this winter, because this will be the new Christmas tree for Chicago, possibly. So we don't know yet, but we'll see. So I'm going to go to the front of the house now and go back inside. It's fucking hot out here. Now I got the soaker hose on over here. Yeah, I kind of defeated what I said about watering at night, but I forgot to water this area last night. I got to do some work on the side over here. So going in the front, got to do a little bit of work over here, get some more gravel. That water's cold. So I'm kind of watering it right now because I forgot to water it this last night. It was getting too late, and the soaker hose went in the backyard. So you can kind of see where my neighbor's yard and my yard is nice and green. The neighbor's yard is kind of burning. I got one spot that I got to fix for sod right there. But yeah. So you guys take care, have a good one. I'm going back into the air conditioning and enjoying the rest of my day.